Hey guys, welcome back to the live stream. Another Wednesday here live. For anyone that has any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to help you guys out. I first want to address the video I did. I think yesterday it was uploaded, which was the whole thing about the studio and the truth about it. First thing I want to say is nothing's going to really change in terms of YouTube. The studio's already been in my life for like a year. I just wanted to say that, you know, if I ever miss a video, I do usually prepare the news either way. Sometimes it just happens that I don't have the time to edit it or something like that. But the studio is probably one of the biggest pluses or benefits for my YouTube channel, because I can develop, scan film, and do any of that stuff as fast as I never been able to. And hopefully there's be a lot more content coming through there as soon as things get a bit more stable there. But yeah, I'm very excited. I actually recorded a video today of a little photo shoot I have on Friday. It might be a total disaster. It might not be. Hopefully it'll come out great. But I'm taking my 11x14 out for the first time, I think, ever since basically since I got it. I've shot X-ray film, I've done tests, and I've taken it on trips, but I've never really shot real film. And I bought a box of HP5 in summer 17, and there's going to be a surf competition this weekend, and I want to shoot some portraits on the 11x14. I only have 25 shots, so I'm pretty anxious to see what comes out, but we'll see. Very excited to shoot for the first time, you know, in a real film and real things on the 11x14. So yeah. Hey, how you're in the darkroom organizing stuff right now. I saw your story on Instagram taking stuff to the darkroom. I was in the darkroom today. I actually fixed some 11x14 film holders that had the binding on the back was starting to open. If you ever have film holders that are starting to become kind of torn on the bottom where the flaps are, if you've used a film holder 4x5, 8x10, 5x7, you know that the bottom there's a little flap that gets kind of torn. So I had my 11x14 film holders had both flaps kind of like squished, so that meant that maybe they weren't light tight. So what I did is I ripped off the old tape and I put new tape, pressing it well together so there's no wiggle room. And that is done with a special tape that I got recommended by Matt Mirage from the Film Photography Podcast. An amazing guy, really helpful. He said that he used book binding tape. So that's what I used. It's expensive. Like a roll of book binding tape is like $50 or $25, something like that. But you can do 2 film holders per piece of tape, because I use one side and then I use the other. So it's like wide tape, and you just put the tape there and cut it and tape it properly, and then you want to like squish it as hard as you can. Like when you put a sticker and then you grab something and you kind of like scratch it so it sticks properly. So yeah, hopefully those film holders are fixed now. There was 3 that were kind of loose. I have 7 total, so I can take 14 shots and then I have to reload. So I'll be shooting that on Friday, so make sure you connect to Instagram if you want to see the story behind it and whatnot. I'll try my best to record, but I think I'm going to be going on my own, which requires me requesting the people to take portraits, setting up, shooting, recording while I shoot, and the story. So we'll see how I can manage all of that and juggle it all in the middle of a surf championship exhibition or event. So we'll see. We'll see how it works. But yeah, it's been one of those weeks which I've been prepping. Also, I've been shooting more 8x10 again. You might have seen a few shots on my Instagram too, behind the scenes and stuff. I made it to the point that I would not make my big 8x10 stop me from going out and shooting. So I managed to undo the whole CNR 8x10 and pack it into a Pelican 1610, which is surprisingly small, but still fits the 8x10. I could fit the 8x10 back standard, bellows, extra bellows if I wanted to, front standard, 2 rails, 3 lenses, dark cloth, 4 film holders, cable release, light meter, all the extra bits you need, and still managed to walk around. Tripod in my hand, and the suitcase has wheels, so that's what I was using. So yeah, I shot that, and I've been taking it out more. Hi, Michael. Hi, Alexis. Hello. How? What is your recommended time to wash fiber-based and RC paper? For your information, I don't have an archival wash to just trace and water running. So I don't do any hypo clean or anything like that. What I usually do is I wash in my proper washer for an hour. But what you can do is, some people do is they grab a tray and then put another tray under. So first they start putting the prints on the bottom tray, so the water goes cascade onto that tray and then comes out and kind of creates a bit of a current. Then on the top one, you put them at the end. So you start by 10, 15 minutes on the bottom, and then you do another 30 on the top or 40 on the top. But the recommended times for fiber-based is 1 hour. At least that's what I've always heard. And RC paper, I give it like 5-10 minutes, but it's plastic paper, so it should be more than enough. House has 4 film holders. Loading film on the field going to be challenging. No, I've got 7. Yeah, great math, Nico. 7 film holders in 11x14, which gives me 14 shots. I have 25 shots, and I'm taking the Harrison huge jumbo tent, which is pretty huge, but for 11x14, you start having a bit of an issue inside the tent. So hopefully I'll figure how to do it out in the field. I've done 8x10s before in the field, but never 11x14. Lindsay, or I don't know how you say that. Yo, I finally got to order some Ferrania P30. I'm glad. I've been trying to get some. I really haven't been looking to see if the store has any supply, but I hope to get some in a festival I'm going now. Just basically because the ones I have have tiny scratches, and I feel the emulsion's really good. Just the scratches on my batch, which was one of the very, very, very first batches, is ruined. So I rather just keep the film I have as props for the channel and get some new film and start shooting. Michael says, speaking of printing, when we are supposed to selenium toning the prints, before or after washing them? I know it's a silly question, but I'm kind of new to printing. Basically, what I've heard, or not what I've only selenium toned like once or twice in my life, and I think it was in the same day, and I didn't really notice anything or did any pushing to see if I saw the change in the tone and whatnot. So I can't say as an expert, but I do know that you can do the selenium toning after washing and drying. So what I have a friend is that what he does is he prints, washes, dries, flattens, and then out of all the prints that he's done, he chooses his favorites, and then those, after having enough, he will just do selenium toning for 1 day. He does it outside with the windows open or whatever, in the terrace or anything like that, because you want to have a lot of ventilation when you're using selenium. So I would recommend it after washing, and then you got to wash again, mostly because you don't want maybe selenium coming in contact with a fixer or residues. So I would say if I had to put my hand on it, that after washing you want to tone, and then you have to wash again. So just remember, have a lot of time in your darkroom. Lindsay said, sorry, I'm just tired. That was exactly what you say. You say it. Mago got some stock in today, already sold out though. Yeah, the Ferrania, I talked to them like a week ago, and they had just finished the batch of P30, and it was getting out of the factory, so I'm sure Mago Direct got it and sold out in the second. I don't know how big the batches are being, if there are 1,000 rolls or 500 rolls or anything like that, but I know they're producing small quantities. Some stores like Glass Key Photo in San Francisco stock them every now and then, and others. Camel Green, hey guys, hi to see you. Nice to see you. I'm so tired. I'm sorry if I make no sense. Michael, yeah, that's how I wash, and that's how I would Selenium tone. You can do Selenium toning just for archival, and you can also do Selenium toning to achieve a change in the tone. So depending on the time, it's usually recommended that you keep a print that you don't do any Selenium, that's finished and you like it, dried, so you can compare and see if it's going too far or not. So just bear in mind, don't throw everything in there and see what happens. Just keep one out and compare it. Also remember that when it gets wet, it loses a bit of, I think it's called Dmax, like the darker tones go away. So when it dries, it gets back to being darker like it was in the dry print that you have next to it. So you can compare it and check. But I'm telling you, I haven't done it enough. I've barely done it to be able to give any real advice on that. There's a great books from Tim Rudman. Let me see, Tim toning. Tim Rudman, which some of them go for a bunch of money. Look, this one's now 104 pounds. Why am I on the UK? Let's see if I can go to the US. Amazon. Tim Rune. These are the books that I've always heard are great. You got Lith printing, but this one's one of those. Let me see. Let me get a short link. Tim Rudman, this is a book I've heard about toning that's great. It's not cheap. As you can see, it's $140. But the first edition got up to like 300, and then he made a second edition that now is at 100 something. But it's a great book. I've had it myself for a little bit from a friend, and it goes into so much depth with all the kind of toning that I wasn't ready at the moment. My darkroom wasn't ready to print, so I just read kind of through it very fast and didn't pay a lot of attention. But yeah, he's a great guy, great work. Darkroom printer. Made a book not very long about Iceland, which actually I'm sure is on Amazon. His toning book. I don't know where the Iceland book is. Oh damn, you have it in Spanish for $1,000, Spanish edition. Wow. Yeah. House says, I want to try Lith printing. Portraits with warm tone looks are great, but FOMA MG paper price is crazy. FOMA paper here in Europe is not that bad. FOMA photo. Let me see. But yeah, Lith printing I've heard is pretty amazing. I've never done it either. So I can't say much about it. Let me see, photo paper. Foamatone MG. MG 131. It's not that bad here in Europe. You should check how to see if it's cheaper to ship it from Germany. For example, Maco Direct has great prices, or Photo Impex for FOMA. You might be surprised that it's cheaper to ship. Plus, the prices you see on a European website have taxes, that if you're buying from the US, you don't have to pay. So if it's $100, you got to take away 19% because that's the tax in Germany. In Spain, we have a 21% tax. So whatever price you see, you could take off 21%. So check Macro Direct. I do know a few people in the US that have bought before from there in bulk and shipped it over to the US. So we'll see. I recommend checking that out because maybe the distributor in the US sets a different price that's more expensive. So that's what I would recommend. But here I'm looking at 20 by 24 paper is 67 euros, which is 6 euros 0.7 per sheet, which is not that bad. 8 by 10. There's no 8 by 10, 8 by 10, but the closest to 8 by 10 is 13 for, well, 64 for 50. It's not that cheap. It's like €1 a sheet. Much cheaper than Ilford, that's for sure. But yeah, look into that. Look into looking at European. Sometimes you have to ask them, send them an email and say, hey, I want to buy, and they'll give you an invoice to ship it to the US without taxes. Hey, Kaimi. Nice to see you here. Kaimi is joining us from Brazil, if I'm not wrong. I have 2 rolls of 50 Cinestill 50D from him, which I have to shoot. He was nice enough to send me 2 rolls to test. And now that I have the C41 ready to use, I should probably get to it. The Camel Green, we spoke about Technicas a few weeks ago. I bit the bullet, and my Master Technica with 2 coupled lenses, multifocal finder, and grip just arrived. So excited. Definitely a step up from the Intrepid. Oh, I'm glad you went for Linhof. They are extremely good cameras. Some are really used and abused, but the good news is that Linhof still services their cameras, so you can ship it to Germany. Don't expect it to be cheap, but they'll put it back in spec and ship it back, even bellows and stuff. Even though the bellows, if you're going to be getting any bellows for cameras, make sure to check custombellows.co.uk, which is the people that make bellows for like 75% of the industry. I know that CNR bellows are made there, Can-Ham bellows are made there. I'm pretty sure that the Mike Walker cameras are made, bellows are there, and probably maybe Arca Swiss and stuff like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, most bellows are made there in the UK. Kaimi says, yeah, I got away from work today and hope they come in handy. Yeah, I just need to find a day to shoot them. It's just 50 ISO is something I don't use so often, but we'll see. The other day I developed some slides in ISO 100 on the Nikonos, and it was pretty amazing to see. But we'll see how it goes. Camel Green, I live in Munich, so that's nice. Yeah, I think their factory is somewhere there. I'm not 100% sure where they are, but they've been very active on, oh, Munich. Okay, so you can just walk there. Damn, that's pretty nice. You can just walk there and be like, hey, fix my thing. I need to get a cable release from them. Maybe I'll ask you to get it. It's pretty amazing. I was very surprised when I went to Photokina that they said that they're selling cameras 4x5s very well. They're doing well, that they're selling more than I would think. Oh, you can see the price list. Nice. That's a helpful thing. So how much is a 4x5 at this time? And Master Technica 4x5 without lens is 6,800 euros. Damn. The Master Technica 3000 without lens is 6,400 euros. This is all without taxes. Wow, I wouldn't expect them to sell that many. I thought they were around 4,000, not 6,000. But yeah, well, if I ever go visit them, Camel Green, we can meet for a beer. I'm gonna be in Geneva, June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, or something like that. And I want to see if I organize a photo walk or meet for some drinks. So if anyone's in Switzerland, apart from Oscar, which I've already told about, Oscar Orwison, the one that's making the Panomicron, the expand 3D printed camera, sort of expand-ish. So hopefully we'll get to meet and have a drink or something, have a coffee, beer, anything you guys want. But if someone's around Switzerland or close by and wants to meet, I'll be there. I think I have like a Saturday morning-ish to meet, going to a wedding, which was just basically announced like 2 weeks ago. Kyle says, about to load a 120 roll of Ektachrome 200 dated 1998. Any thoughts on reading exposure? Is there any latitude with this film? Slide film and latitude is something that don't go well together, and expired even less. So I would say either you can do some bracketing, so shoot at one stop overexposed, one normal exposure, and maybe 2 stops over, 1 stop over and normal. If you have more film, I made a video on expired film and how I recommended if you were going to buy expired, try to buy a batch so you can test and get the best results with that film. So if you can do that, bracket your shots, memorize what you're doing, and then you develop and see how to expose the rest of the batch. Sorry, saying bye to my wife. Camera Green, the one box I bought is made in 2005. Got it with the original box and had a service last year, so I hope it will be fine for a while. It should be fine if it was serviced last year. Kaimi says, Leighton, evening. Kaimi says, hey Nico, as I quickly told you before, I feel like going larger, and I think for the way I shoot and for the versatility, I'm thinking a Graflex that will fit a 120 and 70 backs. Any advice? If you're starting in large format, the Graflex is a great option. I said it, I made a video about it. In that line, you want to get a camera with a graph lock back so you can use roll film, which cuts down costs a lot in developing and shooting and lenses and stuff. You can also get something very similar. There's a few Horsemen's and a Vista. There's a Vista SP, I think it's called, which is very cheap, and a VX2, which is also a little bit, I think, better. But yeah, the SP is pretty good too. They all use the Linhof Technica lens boards. The Graflex uses its own lens boards and has very limited amounts of movements and stuff. But those limited movements will be fine for most people's use. And what I mean most people is you have tilt, you have a bit of shift, you have, shift, rise and fall. You can use a 90, you can use down to a 65, but you have to drop the bed. But yeah, I think it's a great camera. I still keep Graflex and probably will never get rid of it because it's just so small-ish, and they're pretty inexpensive. You can take it anywhere. They take a beating. And mine has the focal plane shutter, so I can attach all kinds of crazy lenses and barrel lenses and all that. Kyle says, I paid only 2 per roll, so not too critical. Yeah, I would do that. So then bracket a few shots in the first roll, and then shoot the rest maybe 1 stop over, and then see how you like that, and shoot the other 4 rolls with ISO that you've decided was the best. Kyle says, look for Toyo's Super Graphics since it has rotating back. Yeah, I had the Graflex with the rotating back, and it was, I think it was, yeah, the Graflex Super Graphic. And it came with a lens with a 1/1000 of a shutter, which was awesome. It was the Rodenstock Optar, I think it was called. And to cock the shutter, you had to like turn the lens hood, which was really weird to figure out the first time I used it. Yeah, super graphic. And it can rotate the back, which is nice, especially if you're going to do portraits, landscapes, and stuff like that. The rest of them, you have to turn your tripod head, or you can screw and unscrew the camera sideways, which can be a bit of a pain depending on what lens you're using and stuff like that. That lens shutter is fragile, supposedly. Yeah, I have one in a plastic Ziploc bag because it just exploded in my hands. So yeah, but the previous one worked great. Kaimi says, for the focal plane speed, I figure I won't need it, but how accurate are the rangefinders? Will I need to focus on ground glass for 120? I've never used the rangefinder because it was calibrated for a lens that I took off and I never really used. Honestly, the rangefinder, from what I've looked at it, is so dim and so small that I wouldn't trust it to shoot, especially 4x5 because it's more expensive and the depth of field is really a pain. But I would always compose using the glass. I've always used the glass on the camera and not the rangefinder. Toyo was last version of Super Graphic. I've never heard of the Toyo Super Graphic. I'm gonna have a look. I thought it was a typo. Toyo Super Graphic. I'm interested. Never heard of that. Oh yeah, there's a Toyo Super Graphic. I guess Toyo bought a Graflex. Interesting. That's cool to know. Never seen that camera. I'm curious to see if it's available. Super Graphic. Yeah, a bunch of bellows and stuff, but I can't find it available. Let me see. Everywhere in the world. No, not available. At least not on eBay anywhere. Let's see if any have sold. Graflex Super Graphic sold for $139. They're so cheap. Another Graflex here, Super Graphic for 244 euros. Another one for 115. They're so inexpensive, it's ridiculous, and they're so strong. Kyle, you need the cam to match focal length for rangefinder. As far as I know, I think my camera was calibrated for a lens, but it doesn't have any, I haven't seen any cams, but it probably does have. My Horseman 985 or VHR, the 6x9 Horseman, that's like a Graflex, does come with a cam. Well, it didn't come with a cam. I bought the cam. I attached it for the lens I had, and it's way off. So either I have to recalibrate everything, which I don't know how to do, or someone sold me the wrong cam, even though it does have it inscribed that it's the 105. Kyle says they bought the plans. I have one, just need new bellows. Got mine on eBay about a year ago. I really didn't know that. That's kind of funky to know that Toyo made a Graflex camera, basically. Kaimi says, I will look into the options you said, and hopefully for my birthday, give it to myself with some FOMO 100. Thanks. Yeah, I say to start Graflex cameras, the Vista cameras, the Toyo folders, field cameras, depending on which ones, can be way too flimsy, especially very used. Like I've seen a lot of Vistas that are extremely unreliable. that you focus or you do something and you tighten the screw, and the moment you turn around and you come back, it's all loose again. So make sure if you buy something that it looks like it's doing well. But those cameras, and if not, you can always go for a monorail. But monorails are for, you know, people that really want to shoot monorails. If not, don't get into one. I love my monorails, but I understand they're not for every shooter and people going out in the field and having backpacks on their back. Cal says maybe lens set at wrong infinity stop for cam to work. Well, I checked the infinity stops and maybe someone moved them, but as far as I know, they doesn't match. But I have to figure it out one day and just put like an object at 1 meter and an object at 5 meters and match that so I can get the accurate rangefinder looking. But that's a great camera because the Little Horseman VHR has so many movements and it's so small. It's pretty amazing. I just don't get along with a 6x9 glass. It's so small, and I find it kind of hard to use. But I should use it handheld to shoot portraits and stuff like that. And like Hal says, monorail cameras are serious work. Yeah, I have a few monorails. I have the CNR P2, CNR F something because it's missing parts. I have I've had a Cambo Legend 8x10 that was enormous. I have a Calumet, the old version. I think it's called no, not the C1. That's the Green Monster. Something else. And I'm gonna get from a friend, basically gifted Cambo SC, I think, that he bought brand new, but of course knows he's going to sell it for nothing. So I think he's going to give it to me for the workshops. Kaimi says, for me right now, it would be something for more planned shoots and to take out hiking or doing projects. I say a folding camera, like a Graflex or similar, would do great. I really enjoy them. Camel Green, for my testing, the rangefinder on the Technica is extremely accurate. But the cams are ground individually for each lens and get the lens serial engraved on them. So that makes the calibration pretty expensive. That does sound calibrating expensive. I just found the cam. It's so hard to find the cams on their own for that camera that I just found one in England and bought it. They're all in Japan, and they send them in packs of like 5 cams or 3 cams, and that's what I got. Kaimi, by the way, the other day I heard you developed P30. How did you like it? So far, from the one roll I developed, I really like the tone. I like the contrast of the negatives. The film looks amazing. Using a quick inversion on the phone and checking my negatives on the light table, they look great. I haven't had time to enlarge anything or scan, especially because scanning is not my my place. Basically, I'm not very good at it. So we'll see. But so far, I like it, and probably will be shooting more ISO 80, which I never really thought I would shoot. Let me see. Tim says, came in late, but in terms of hiking, the Intrepid 4x5 worked pretty well on my multi-day backpacking trip to the Santa Fe Mountains last week. I mean, yeah, the Intrepid has one huge benefit, is that it's extremely light and it's extremely cheap. So if you don't mind the few quirks that it does have, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, it just has a few things you got to work around. It's a great setup. I recommended it to many people depending on what they want to shoot. And I know that it's doing great for everyone in the large format community because it's a affordable new camera you can buy. After looking at the Linhof price list at 6,000 euros, I'm sure the Linhof is way better than the Intrepid, but I don't know if it can justify the 6,800 euros without taxes compared to 250 quid for the Intrepid. And not that you can't compare them, because I wouldn't compare them, but just the difference is so huge that makes you wonder, you know, even though Linhof secondhands are much cheaper. But yeah, when I shot the Intrepid documentary, I used their cameras. I used one of the first production 8x10s. I used the 4x5 out of the production line. And if you know what you're doing with a large format camera, they're super capable tools. So we'll see. Leighton says, sounds like far too much effort for use a dim rangefinder. Yeah, used to bigger rangefinders, I find the large format style rangefinders to not be the best. Joseph says the Ferrania P30 has near zero grain. Impressive. It's super contrasty though. Yeah, I shot it in Miami in the sunlight midday. So from what I saw, the negatives do look contrasty, but I kind of like that. So we'll see when I print it. I usually go for contrasty prints, so we'll see how it goes. Lathan says, I still have not been able to shoot my roll with P30. Want to shoot it down at the beach. I have the plans, just need some time now. I understand that, Tim, Layton. Time is not always easy to find. I have those 50Ds that Kaimi sent me that I've been sitting on for like a month wanting to shoot and haven't had much time. But we'll see. This weekend's going to be all large format once again. And from there, I hope to take a weekend off large format at least before I go to the festival. At the festival, I'm going to be in Barcelona. My idea is to shoot 8x10 there, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, the P30 to me has looked pretty amazing. Just curious to see how it does on paper. Most people are scanning it, and I want to see because I like printing my shots. But I have 4 more rolls that I'll try to shoot and see if the scratches show in my prints. Maybe I'll get lucky. I don't usually print very big. My 35 work goes into probably 5x7 or 8x10, and not even the full paper, a little cropped in. So I can mount it on frames, which I hang around the house. But yeah, that's basically what I will hope to do with the P30. Still planning on going to Ferrania, just I know they're still not 100% ready. Layton says, yes, I will be making prints. Biggest size I print is 8x10. Yeah, 98% of what I print is 8x10. I think I print like 11x14 every now and then, and I do mostly 8x10 and 5x7. The shots that I'm shooting this weekend are 11x14 film that I probably will contact print on 11x14 paper to see at least, and maybe if I want to do anything, I'll do a few contacts on a bit of bigger paper so I can cut it out and mount it properly, because I like seeing the frame on my 8x10 work and 4x5 work. I can't print 11x14 or enlarge it, but it's fine. It's big enough to contact print. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Basically, the size. Well, look. You guys want to see what 8x10, 11x14 negative is? This is 1, and this is an 8x10 impossible. I don't know if you can see that. So yeah, that's basically it's as wide as an 8x10 long, and yeah, this is X-ray film. This was loaded in the film holder. It flew on the airplane from California to Miami, from Miami to Germany, Germany to Spain, through all the X-rays and had no issues. And this is a picture of my daughter, which I took forever ago. And this one I bleached on the other side, even though this negative is all scratched from being around the house. But yeah, this is awesome for contact printing. So that's what I will do. Joseph says, I'm still new to printing, but I have P30 print on the fridge. I can send you a pic. Yeah, that'd be awesome, Joseph. Send it to me. Lean says, incredible size. Yeah, today I was loading my first HP5 in 11x14, and it was a mix of scary and exciting all in one. I just hope I don't get any fogged shots or light leaks. That's my biggest scare, is that any of my film holders has light leaks. So I'm going to write down, all my film holders have letters like 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. So I'm going to write on a notebook who I shoot on what film holder. So when I develop it, I can guess like if something went wrong, which one's not working properly, and see if I can fix it. Because I'm just scared of it. Kaimi says, thinking about getting my next bulk of Silvermax, FP4 and HP5 100 are nearly done. I recently stumbled upon FOMO 100 positive black and white. Have you tried those? Curiosity as E6 is unavailable here. I've never tried the FOMA reversible film, like the slide black and white. I think you can do it with a kit that they sell. So you would have to, you can basically reverse into slides, I think almost all black and white film. Matt Mirage, that I mentioned before in the show, did it like a weekend ago on 8x10 T-Max, and he inverted it. I don't know if he did it developing or so he sent it off. I do know that there's this guy called DR5 that does it in the States. I think that his best film is the FP4 for inverting into or converting into slides. But you can test it out. I've heard the foam pen is pretty okay too. Layton says, E6 slide film, my thoughts are shoot digital and save yourself the nightmare. FP4 and HP5 are basically awesome. FOMO 100 normal negative film is one of my favorite films. BW Vids, good to hear the X-ray shot turned out after airline travel. Carry on. No, it was sent in a Pelican case. I had the camera, the film holders checked in. But my guess is the reason that it's not fogged is that the Pelican case was too big for the X-ray machine. That's my guess. I don't know how big the ones for suitcases is, because this Pelican case is huge and really tall. So maybe they couldn't pack it under, and they just checked it by hand and passed it over. But yeah, all the film that was loaded, which I didn't know was loaded, came out fine. No fogging or anything like that. And there was a box of film inside that too, and all the films being fine. Jan says, Silvermax is a hidden gem. I recommend it. Too bad it's not available in 120 yet. Yeah, Silvermax I've heard is amazing. And I've also heard that 120 is hopefully down the line when Adox gets their machines up and running again and starts making their own, well, finishing their factory and getting it out. But we'll see. Layton says, you should never put film in a case that goes in a hold. They have strong x-rays on large baggage. Well, all my film, not because I did it, someone else did it, packed it there and shipped it. I knew it was x-ray film, so if something happened, it wasn't the end of the world. But I tested it and it was fine. So that's how it goes. I actually have a friend that always checks in his film and never had an issue, and I still don't understand. And he shoots slide film, so we'll see. I don't know. That broke, like when I said, I made a video about flying with film a while ago because I fly quite a bit, and you always with a lot of film. And when he watched it, he told me about his experience, and I was like, I don't believe that you fly. And he flies with slide film. He always checks it and has never had a problem. So he keeps on doing it. Kaimi says, FP4 is my favorite film, but I wanted to try it. Yeah, I mean, trying is fun. I'm not a big tester because I never end up shooting weird stuff, but I'm sure it's fun to shoot. Brian says, Adox CMS 20 is available in 120. I think they're having issues with the availability of CMS. I think I talked about it on the news like 2 to 3 weeks ago, that even Adox went into answering a user on Photrio or whatever it is, Apug or Apug. But yeah, we'll see. Kyle says, have you found that your negatives potentially get damaged with contact printing? I develop and scan my negatives up to 4x5. I purchased pictorial clear sheet. Do make digital negatives up to 8.5 by 11 since my largest contact frame is 10 by 12. I haven't noticed my negatives getting scratched or ruined by contact printing. I am very careful, so my easel's clean. I don't use a contact printing frame. I don't have one. I use a large piece of glass that is not close as thick as it should be. It should be like thick, and mine is really thin, so not ideal. But what I do is I clean everything very well beforehand. I swipe it and I dust it and I blow it and everything. And then I use the negative and I just kind of like only touch the sides. So I put the paper, then I put the negative, and then I align it, and then I just put the glass down carefully so it doesn't move, because that's always what happens is you're putting the glass down, and as it's fiber-based, the paper has a bit of a curl. So the moment you squish it, it always moves a slight bit. So I've gotten pretty good at using that. But no, I haven't noticed any issues with my negatives. Also, when you're doing contact prints, usually the smallest, if there's any minuscule scratch, you probably won't see it. If you're enlarging, everything will be enlarged. So you do. But I can't do digital negatives or anything like that. I'm not very good at that. So it's not an option for me yet. Jan says CMS is a different beast, but too slow and needs special developers, so not something for everyday shooting. Yeah, it does use special developer. Layton says, I'm certainly pleased that if you have not had a problem. No, I mean, what happened with my 11x14 when I got it was that it was bought secondhand in California, I think LA. It was there for like a year waiting for me to be ready to ship it. Then it shipped to Miami in a Pelican case that I bought in New York, shipped to LA. He packed the camera, shipped it to Miami. And then I wasn't in Miami at the time. So a friend of mine that comes over, I made a video on him. He's called Rafa, long hair, curly hair. He brought it. So I was too much of a favor already asking him. Lufthansa didn't want to pack the case. It was too heavy. He had to like pay a bunch of money to ship it over. So I wasn't going to be like, hey, just check if you can bring the film out of it. So I was like, just ship it all together and I'll figure it out. And film made it fine. So that's the whole story on it. But it was, it took like 2 years since I bought it till I got it. So that was a long waiting time. Kyle says, yes, yeah, worried about emulsion damage. Any advice on sun exposure for platinum UV? If you're going to be doing UV like platinum, I would highly recommend you get yourself a UV light source, because you want to control it as much as you can. Kyle says, do EV rating and make notes based on time of day? No. There's an awesome little tool, Kyle, which I'm going to tell you about. EV meter. Not EV, sorry. This one. Come on, take me to it. I've used this, not my own machine, but okay, so it's called lightmeasure.com, okay? And this is an awesome machine. It will give you exact readings on UV, and the fact is you can reuse it to get exactly the same results on prints with the sun. So if there's clouds, or if there's sun, if there's suns and clouds, if you've metered that 1500 units gives you perfect exposure, you put it out there, whatever happens when you reach 1500, you pull it out, you develop it, and it'll come out exactly the same as the one before. So here, lightmeasure.com, sending it to you guys. The thing is not too crazy expensive, if I'm not wrong. I think it was like 200 bucks or something like that. Let me see. Purchase. $2.99, which is not that bad for actually what it does. If you're doing platinum, you're going to pay off that machine in no time. Also, if you're using a homemade UV system, you can do the same thing. If you put it further away for bigger print, you can put it, and if you know exactly the time that gives you the perfect print, you just use that. So that's my biggest recommendation. I did a workshop, or I assisted, or I went to a workshop on cyanotype, and it was amazing using that machine. It gave us perfect cyanotypes every single time. It took away the whole guessing and made it really interesting. Timothy says, I've been shooting 120 for a number of years, and I have been thinking of moving to 4x5. Do you think the Chamonix would be a good fit for a beginner in that format rather than the cheaper like graphic? Timothy, the Chamonix cameras, to me, as a customer, because I've been a customer of their cameras for a while, is probably one of the best options for the money's worth. So you're going to get your money's worth. The camera is around $1,000, the 4x5s, and they're really well made. They work great. They're user friendly. The learning curve is very small. And they're brand new, so you can buy it new for that much, and you have it shipped to your house. And they have spare parts. You can change the bellows. You can use the extension rails. You can get the Fresnel or no Fresnel. You can get different. I mean, it has all these options that you can do. And I think for the price at this very moment, there's no other option that's, you know, in that mid-level camera. So yeah. Also, they've been doing a lot of work on Instagram, on Twitter, and stuff like that. So you can already order through them on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. I kind of friendly with the people that take care of that. So if you go through there, just say Nico sent you, and you know, give me some extra points for when I want to order something. But yeah, I have at this moment 2 Chamonix 4x5s, F1s, and I have the 11x14, and down the road I want to get the 8x10. So yeah, it's the camera I choose for my work, and I recommend it very much if someone wants something a little bit nicer, maybe not starting with something cheaper and then moving on later, but starting on with something like that. And the best example is you don't see a lot secondhand Chamonix. They just kind of don't come out. So I recommend them, and if they come out, they sell really fast because most people that have them, love them, and keep them. Kyle says, excellent. Haven't made first print. Screw ups are expensive. Yeah, I highly recommend that little light measure device. Leighton says, Kaimi, cool. Prints are what makes photography special. You will love them. And now I'm lost with Kaimi's. Oh, okay, sorry. I totally didn't read Kaimi's. First printing session Tuesday, hyped. Mom's friend gave me an enlarger, and another friend is a photographer with a darkroom. Free private tutor in exchange of testing her stash of paper for fog. That's awesome. Printing is, to me, the whole experience of shooting film is printing. If I can't print, I probably wouldn't shoot film at this moment. Actually, slide film, I stopped using the day I knew you couldn't buy paper and chemicals to develop. And I have shot a bit after that, and it's amazing. But the fact that I can only project it, scan it, or look at it on a light table is not enough. I want to see it on paper, you know, that I print myself. I like having control of all of it. But yeah, we'll see. Filena says, also thinking about a Chamonix, what is the difference between the N2 and the F2? Tim is on the waiting list for the film holders. Tim, contact them through Instagram. I know they have some stock of film holders through there. But at least they had it the other day. Filena, the N2 and the F2, the main differences are the back has asymmetrical tilt, which is really useful for people shooting landscape, especially in also studio work. The front has separate movements between the rise and fall and the tilt. It's a little bit, it's a bit more versatile. And the price difference isn't that big to justify. But if you're really looking at the cheapest option, the N2 is an amazing camera. Will work great for so much work. You can also change the bellows. You can also attach the extender. But yeah, same thing. If you go through the Instagram account and tell them about it, say Nico sent you, you'll give me some help to keep this up. Lathan says, Kyle, you get to get much better over time. Also learn split grade printing. That saves a lot of hassle. Yeah, split grade printing is pretty useful. I don't always use it, but when I end up doing it, I'm like, why didn't I start with split grade from the beginning? We'll see how it goes. Timothy says, thanks, and I will mention your name if I order one. Yeah, that's if you order through Instagram, just so you know, or Facebook. They have a Facebook page too. But it helps me out. Layton says, also, I got confused about Kyle's printing. I meant silver printing with multi-grade paper. It's been a long day. It's been a long day and a long week for everyone. But yeah, Chamonix cameras, they're pretty awesome. The film holders are really well made. I was using today the 11x14s that are not Chamonix, and I would love to get the Chamonix ones, but they're $600 a piece. So that is something I can't assume now or probably never. And having the ones that work, I'll be fine. If I start getting light leaks, I will. I have a few 4x5 ones and one 8x10, and they're so well made. The 4x5 are even lighter than the Fidelity and plastic ones, and the 8x10 is also just about a tad bit lighter. But I'm loving the 4x5s. People in the workshops are really enjoying them. They like it and use them all the time, and they give great results. To me, I had an Ebony before, the Chamonix. An opportunity came up in Chicago back in the day, and I got one. And it was the cheapest version, and it was pretty used, but it was an awesome camera. It was so well made. But I always felt like, okay, this camera is probably like, 1% more useful or 2% more useful than a Chamonix because it had a few different movements. So I sold it and bought a Graflex. Then the Graflex was broken. Then I bought another Graflex. Then I ended up with a Chamonix, and I can tell the difference, but not economically. Like, I really enjoy the Chamonix cameras, and I use them on my photo shoots pretty much all the time. So yeah, it's 10 o'clock, guys. Just a slight reminder, on Friday, I will be shooting on the 11x14. I will try to do stories on Instagram. If you don't follow me there, it's Nicolas without the H, in Spanish, Yacera. But if you write hashtag Nico's Photography Show on Instagram, I tag all my pictures like that, so you guys can find me there. And hopefully next week I'll tell you guys that it all went awesome, and I got some amazing pictures. And if you are at the surf competition, do come by and help me out with my 11x14. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining once again. And I'll see you next week. And if you have any questions, as always, you can ask me through social media or anything like that. I have a video for someone that asked me a question that I've been going to get to answer through my large format series, but I want to answer it before. So remember, you can ask me anything you want. I'll do a quick video answering or do it live here. So yeah, thank you guys, and good night. Bye.